Yeah, there's nothing in here.
I was like, yeah, maybe Chris, you could probably do this song. It's a little better than what I got.
Jailbirds, are you here?
All right, we should jam sometime. As everybody introduce themselves and we'll know whose voices are whose for the listeners. And we'll go from there.
Yes. You go.
Okay. I'm Max, I play bass.
I'm Sam, I sing and I play guitar.
I'm Ethan, and I hit the drums pretty hard.
I'm
Brad, and
you sing, Ethan?
I do sing. That's true, yeah.
I'm Brad, and I play cello.
Right on.
That's a lie.
I play
cello.
guitar.
That's a fucking lie.
Do you also play cello or just...
Fuck no.
I can't really imagine you playing anything else but guitar, actually.
That's kind of true.
Like, I can't...
Maybe a harp.
Used to play the recorder.
Did you?
Pretty
Who
fucking well.
did play the recorder, though? Was that grade 2?
Yeah.
Grade 2 music class.
Before they trust you with the real instruments,
Yeah.
they toss some recorders your way.
Those are pretty wicked, though.
Not bad, except, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like ours were just kept in a box and it was probably not very like, sanitary.
You didn't have your own?
No.
Oh, no. We definitely had our own in elementary
yeah.
school, but in high school you had to share instruments.
Yeah.
You had your own reeds, though, and the mouthpieces, just washing them out.
Yeah. Well, then, like, my school was, because my high school, like, 2 towns came together. So, like, my town was the string school, and then the other town was, like, the woodwind school. So then in high school, we just, like, everybody stayed with what they were doing. But, cool. So let's talk about plants, then. So, how long have you guys, like, been a band? Let me just go back to the start.
Well, we've been a band for, I think we started playing 2014. Summer of 2014, I think it was. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad wasn't in the band at that time. It was us 3 and one of our friends, Patrick, and we just started out playing. I literally just started playing guitar, really, so I started doing songs I could actually, actually play. So we were doing Arctic Monkeys covers and Blink covers and Queens of the Stone Age covers. And then Brad joined the next year, and we were still doing covers for, I think, at least a few years. We were doing just like strictly cover.
Right.
Yeah.
2017.
I know when Brad joined, I remember we had a jam at my house, and the first song we played, Out of the Black, had just come out by Royal Blood. So I remember we tried to work it out as like a 4-piece band, and we covered that for 2 years.
Covered that for a while.
Yeah.
And then we didn't start writing original stuff until fall winter of 2017, I think. Is that or 2016?
2016.
Is it 2016?
When Ethan was on
Basically
Thurman.
when I was here.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood, yeah.
Ethan was just around the
Writing
corner
songs in
there.
the garage.
That's awesome.
In the basement.
Yeah, we actually wrote our
in the
first
fucking winter.
We wrote our first riff ever, literally around the corner from
that's
this house.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. A lot of music's been written on this street because MIA is obviously right across the road. So and then I don't know if you guys know Basic White, but I had Riley in, and he was telling me that he wrote a bunch of songs a couple houses over. It's kind of funny, everything has gone down in this little area. It's pretty crazy.
It's the hub.
It is.
Origins.
It really is. Yeah.
You just get fucked up, party.
Yeah.
We actually tried to do that a few years ago.
Write tunes.
We
God, yeah.
that was Halloween.
That was fun.
Halloween
Sweet,
2016.
2016. Yeah.
We played out of Ethan's garage on Thurman.
Yeah.
And we started at I think 9. And it was already, by 9:30, it was flooded onto the street, from the whole driveway, the whole lawn, and then the cops showed up at 10 and shut us down. They wouldn't let us finish because of, because of the riots.
And we were we were anticipating that too, so we thought, well, we'll just play really early. We had the electric kit. We didn't think it would be a huge deal.
Right.
And then, did you say 10:30?
No,
it was 10. It was right at 10. The cops threatened to give us tickets.
They were literally 4 cruisers just pull up in front. Yeah. And at first they were really cool and hey, sorry, our hand is kind of forced here. We have to shut it down because of the noise. And we're like, okay, cool. So 5 minutes later, we're trying to tell everyone, you gotta go.
Yeah.
And then
We
literally,
weren't saying that.
then it literally, I was telling everybody, I was like, yeah, the cops just said everyone has to go. And then after that, they got really fucking malevolent and we're like, everyone who's here in the next half hour, we're handing out $400 tickets. We're just dude.
We had to shut the garage door on people.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
That seems to happen to us time and time again.
We've been shut down a few times, actually.
Yeah.
Where we played last night in Stratford is this place called The Hub. And we kind of built a following in Stratford playing covers and we were playing stuff that we grew up on, so like 90s pop punk and like pop rock songs.
Right,
So
yeah.
like, you know, we covered like anything from Third Eye Blind to Weezer to Blink-182.
Right.
And and we started to get like a pretty big crowd out, and that we were known to have like some mischief at our shows, and
Right.
we
Mainly
got a show
because of Rage.
yeah, Rage,
Yeah,
and we
that'll
had
do it,
we had, like
yeah.
Limp Bizkit too, and we
Oh, yeah, Limp
we played
Bizkit,
the
that
first
was
show
the
with the
one.
Hub we ever played in Stratford. We got shut down trying to play Bulls on Parade. We got like into the first verse, and people were stage diving off the tables and stuff at this like
Yeah.
pretty classy establishment.
Yeah.
And they're like, no,
Floors,
you have to
fucking
stop.
bouncing.
Yeah, yeah,
Very-
and then we tried to play it again, and then we got shut down. We're like, okay, I guess we're calling this.
Yeah.
It's like 12 o'clock, and it's like, I guess we're done. So, but yeah, we've had a few pretty crazy
few
shows.
wave
and-
downs like
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
shut it down.
No, security guard's
Last
like,
night we were sound checking and the guy comes up from the basement. He's like, no, shut it down. Like, all right.
Yeah, because they have a steakhouse underneath the Hub in Stratford.
Oh, okay.
So, like, obviously people are eating dinner, and we're trying to sound check at like 3:30. So
Yeah.
it's tough, but you know, we made it work last night. Last night apparently the sound was really good.
Sound,
so.
yeah, we got really good compliments from the
Yeah.
sound last night.
That's good.
Yeah.
That can make or break it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, like, just like when you're doing those, like, if you're like touring around or whatever, and like one night, like, man, sound was awesome. And then like when we did the Harmony Lunch show, it's like a PA and like it's all
Yeah.
just for them, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I guess
They
we'll,
make
like,
it work,
yeah,
right?
like,
That's the thing.
yeah, it's just like funny how that can work out.
I don't know if you find this, but like when I'm up there, like I have like custom made earplugs that helped me one sing a lot better and two
Right.
hear everything a lot better.
Right.
So there have been numerous times, and Harmony was one of those times where I was singing and I thought I was like very audible.
Right.
Like I was like, okay, this is good. And then I think after the first or second song, I was like, can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
And everyone in the crowd's like, no.
Yeah.
No, we
So then
can't.
I was like, because no one's on the PA there, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, let's see how
Yeah.
max I can make this here
Yeah.
before it starts the feedback.
It's really frustrating because, like, I especially find that my sister came to our show last night, and she was saying, you know, I could hear like your melodies and your voice, but I couldn't hear the lyrics specifically. But I think that's just kind of what going to a live show is about,
Right, yeah.
and unless you know the songs beforehand,
Definitely.
you kind of have to anticipate that you're not gonna
Yeah.
hear the lyrics. You know
For
what I
sure.
mean? Unless you're in like a perfect venue. I don't even know what that would be.
Yeah,
You know?
but I think like when you're doing, especially like the level that like you guys are at or whatever, like
Yeah.
that is like, it's like yeah, I find that all the time. Like, I saw Cleopatra a few weeks ago at the start of December. And
Yeah.
like, it was a crazy show, but like I know all the words to all those
Exactly,
songs, so
yeah.
like you already know kind of where it's going.
Yeah.
And then if there was ever a moment where you're lost, you were just like, oh, okay, I'll wait for the next chorus or whatever. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just it's more the energy and stuff there. It's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily like as long as they can make out the melodies and stuff.
Yeah.
You're pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
That's awesome though. We haven't like got any like I've never been to a house party the few years that I've been here where it's been shut down. Like we've had some pretty good luck with that. I don't know if we're just like because we're deep in the basements and stuff. It's
Yeah.
not a
That
problem.
might-
The garage is
that
definitely
We were playing, like,
an
we
issue
went out
out
yeah,
to
Yeah, the
street,
PA was
yeah.
pointing towards the houses across the street, so yeah.
There was like families who lived there too.
Yeah,
wasn't
they're
there?
I think
definitely
so.
fucking
Right.
Yeah.
But then, like, down the street,
In
there's,
front
like,
of
this
mine.
crazy
Yeah.
kegger.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a bunch of.
Yeah.
We basically once we got shut down that night, we just went and partied around the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Brad got it.
I met the
extremely
basketball
inebriated.
team.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Brad
Yeah,
was so
Brad
funny
was
that night.
pretty lit that night.
Brad takes on, like, an alter ego if he gets to a certain point of intoxication. And it's like...
not good. It's not good.
I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just...
It's hilarious.
It's really...
Interesting.
All of a sudden, it starts with like take the sweater off. Next thing you know, I'm running butt naked around the.
Yeah. Brad's really into male nudity when he gets to a
Yeah.
certain point.
My own personal male
Okay,
nudity.
quick,
Yeah, your own
quick
personal
side
nudity.
story. Quick side story. I'll keep this short. There's this thing in Shakespeare. Brad's from Shakespeare, which is just outside of Stratford. This thing called Field Day. And it's like every year Brad would have friends over, which would turn into a massive party.
500
and
people.
It was like a few years ago, Brad got pretty lit, and then apparently I heard I had left already, but apparently he tried to spear his toilet and took it off the floor.
yes.
Yeah, I broke the toilet with my head.
Yeah.
I woke up the next day, hunched over my bed, like, what the fuck happened last night?
but that doesn't come out very often.
That's Liquor Brad.
I haven't seen Liquor Brad in like a few years.
Yeah,
to be
it's
honest.
pretty rare.
Yeah, no, it's rare now.
Lock the bathroom.
Hey, you never know. New Year's coming up.
Yeah.
No, just lock me up.
Yeah, lock him up.
Brad
Yeah.
might dress up on the occasion as Macho Man as well.
Oh,
So.
that's perfect. You gotta
Yeah.
drop some
Macho Man.
elbows. Yeah.
I had like fucking
That-
2 foot long Slim Jims and was hanging
Awesome.
Me and Brad and Max are pretty big wrestling fans, so we.
Oh man, when I lived in after high school, I spent a year in Kitchener. My brother was finishing up school, and I was just like in between, not knowing what I wanted to do. So I lived with him, and then our 2 friends, Drew and Zane. So like, I was a big wrestling fan. My buddy Drew was a big wrestling fan, and then it was funny because like Zane was just not at all. But like Drew and I were drinking one night with my brother, and we were like, let's be Mankind for Halloween. Like, let's just be
that's
like,
so
let's
awesome.
be Mick Foley. Like everybody,
Dude, you could totally pull off Mick
You
Foley
got the hair
too.
for it, man.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we all did that. So like Zach and Drew were like different versions of Mankind, and then I was Cactus Jack, and Zane was Dude Love.
That's
we
fucking
gave him Dude Love because he had
perfect.
no idea what was up. Right? So, but then
probably
like, it was
me.
even funnier because my brother
In this
had like
situation.
broke a toe or something like a couple days before.
So he was actually
So he was
limping.
like straight up like Mankind, and then like so as soon as he starts like drinking, he's like trying to fight everybody, like trying to like put his
Mr.
sock in.
Suckle!
Yeah, we were just like, oh man, he like
Mr.
yeah,
Suckle!
really committed to the part. That was pretty crazy Halloween.
That's wicked.
That was funny. I haven't told that story like ever. I finally found a spot for it.
There it is.
I forgot that he like
Yeah.
broke his foot too, so he was just straight up like. And then like the more drunk he got, the less it hurt. So like the next day, it was so much more mangled because it wasn't broken enough that he like went to the hospital or anything. So he was just like babying it.
Yeah.
And then like he got drunk and was just like running
Gained
and
some
shit.
confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next day he was not in good shape, but yeah, that's pretty funny. So we got you just did put out the new EP, which you
Yes.
forgot.
Mhm.
What was the kind of process for that?
Writing
it.
Writing it. We started. I think the first song that came out of that batch was it was 2, Hanging Weight and Memoirs. I remember we were actually in London. I think we went to see.
Matt Good.
Yeah, it was Matt Good. Yeah, we were seeing Matt Good at the music hall, and what I do when I come up with riffs and stuff is I just take really crude videos of myself playing in front of my
Right.
amp.
Right.
And I remember I had
Very
the part
crude.
of yeah, I had the part the wow 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 wow.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is, but I think it's really cool, and I brought it to the guys that night, and I remember that was like one of the first sort of new things that we had thought about, and then by that summer we had started working on Memoirs and Hanging Weight, and by the end we'd sort of completed those 2.
Right.
And then I'm trying to think. Waiting to Evacuate, Impaler, and Black Eyes were all written around the same time period.
Earlier this year, I would
Was
say.
it earlier this
Impaler
year?
Ethan sent that drum beat.
Yeah.
Impaler started with Ethan was like, yo, try and write something to this. Ethan's in Toronto, so a lot
Okay.
of our songwriting happens digitally.
Right.
Like Ethan will send an idea to us or vice versa. And I remember Max was over, that was like a Sunday, and I was just like, yo, Max, listen to this. And you kind of liked it.
Yeah, that was like one of the first songs too, where when we like at that time Ethan was living in downtown Toronto, right near the rehearsal factory on front,
Okay.
and we
Nice.
went into the room, and that was like one of the first
Oh, yeah.
songs we ever kind of
Yeah.
like pieced together in a room, like fully,
Right.
like with minimal ideas, I think. And like I remember we just kind of like we're getting ready for a gig, I forget where, like the Rock Pile maybe. And
Yeah, right.
and we just like we're like, okay, screw it, let's take 2 hours to try to figure this song out,
Yeah.
and it just kind of worked itself out, and obviously over time
Yeah.
we added stuff, and like on
Refined it.
that track, there's synth too, which we've wanted to do for a while, somehow incorporate synth into the band, and we're like, well, Ethan's like, why don't we put it during the chorus, and then our producer Siegfried Meyer, who did the album, he's like, well, here, why don't we do this, and we kind of built off of each other for that.
Yeah, Impaler was great because it was definitely the most collaborative song that we had, because we really did. I remember piecing it together before Thanksgiving, or during Thanksgiving weekend of 2017. I was in Ottawa, I remember, and the weekend prior, we got to that rehearsal factory, went into that room, and we based it off of that drum beat and that riff, and it was pretty much done. Whereas with Black Eyes, That one was
bit.
what's that?
That one took a bit.
It took a bit, and it was a pretty premeditated
Okay.
one. Just because of like the geography of where everyone is. Like sometimes when we're writing, it's like super collaborative, and other times it's more piecemeal.
Right.
But yeah, incidentally, Impaler's the one that everyone loves. It seems.
Yeah,
So
it's a wicked. Off like the first listen, I was like, oh, like that was like the one that was like my anchor point, definitely
Yeah.
for like the EP. It's just a
Yeah.
wicked riff. Like it's hard not to like groove to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely cool. I think whenever we try to write a song,
We try to groove it.
we try to we're a riff oriented band,
Yeah.
so having
Yeah.
a riff and having a groove with a good drum beat, and then adding like Sam's vocals on top. I think that's kind of like our goal when we write a song. And like some of our songs we haven't recorded are a bit more proggy, and now with some of the newer stuff we're writing, we're starting to get into like odd time signatures and stuff.
Right.
Just to like change it up a bit, but I still
Definitely.
think it's really based on like riff writing. I think is
Yeah.
the main part. That comes from like
Rage.
Rage Against the
Yeah.
Machine probably is a huge influence.
It's just
for
like
that.
you can't resist those sorts of those like that bounce.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you see Tom
The
Morello.
bouncer,
Like I
yeah.
don't know if you remember that Tom Morello guitar video from way back in the day where he's like showing his gear setup, and it's like, you know, I wrote this "Sleep Now" in the Fire riff, and I wrote on my acoustic guitar, and I could just imagine all these people jumping up and
Yeah.
down in the crowd. And
Yeah,
like, that's
yeah.
a good way to think of it, right? Like, because that's like a awesome crowd
Yeah.
atmosphere.
I know Dave
Definitely.
Grohl had that same mentality when he wrote Enough Space.
Yeah.
And he said when we play over in England, instead of beating the shit out of each other crowd-wise, the crowds just go boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
So he was like, I wrote that riff, you know, and I think we definitely take that approach. Gotta have groove.
I like that. Like I don't like generally get into mosh pits too much, and at that Cleopatra show, it was like kind of hard not to be, but it was more that it was more people were like bouncing to their riffs and shit as opposed to like
Yeah.
beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Which is a way better. Like it feels
way
better as like a community, as just like the audience when
Mhm.
people are doing that shit than trying to like you're worried you have to like block
Yeah.
your face and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's way better. That's definitely something that we're trying to like implement as well,
Yeah.
for sure. So what was there like a turning point that you guys found? Because I know, say when I was talking to you at Harmony Lunch, you're saying that you weren't really into your first EP, like at this point. Or so, I don't know
thing
if there's
is-
a story there or anything.
I
or
think
if there's
I think the
just-
story is basically like I'm a pretty contrarian personality to begin with. I don't want to do what like the people around me are doing. Like I feel like if
Right.
my friends had it their way, I'd be doing something like Tame Impala, or
Right.
something, which I love.
Right.
But like I just don't want to do that. And
Yeah.
all four of us have really different tastes. Ethan's like a rapper.
right.
Like we're really all over the map. So when we did the first EP, we sort of consciously thought, you know what, let's fucking try and do rap rock.
right.
Like we love Biscuit,
Right.
we love Rage. We know that those are very like
POD.
Biscuit especially gets a very bad rap
Yeah.
because of Fred Durst and whatever else.
Yeah.
But like I grew up listening to Wes Borland's guitar, and he's one of my favorite guitar players.
Right.
And I think that was sort of a common ground for us, and we just wanted to like experiment and be like, fuck it, if rap rock's not in anymore, we'll try and do it.
Right.
And we tried to do it, and it just, I don't know, I don't think the songs are poorly written or anything like that. It's just those were literally the first 5 songs. Those are the first 5 songs I had ever written in my life. Like I had never, I don't know.
I mean, like I remember you saying we were at Brad's house one time, kind of like working out stuff. I think Brad's parents were gone, so we like condemned his house with band equipment.
Right.
Just jammed out in his basement.
Yeah.
I remember we were like thinking, Sam's like, I don't know how to write melodies yet, like, because I'm so new to this process. And like Sam said, he's only been playing guitar for X amount of years, and
Right.
not very long. And he's like, I don't really know how to approach the melody aspect. And I was like, well, why don't we just try rapping over it? Ethan can rap.
Yeah.
And so the first song we ever wrote was "Fall to Earth" off the first EP, and the first verse is actually
Wicked bass riff.
Yeah, that's when I
Wicked
was
bass
like, I need to write I think his name's Sam from Limp Bizkit style
Right.
bass lines. That was like my
Yeah.
goal at the time because the bass lines are rad. And Ethan's like he was on the first track of that, the first verse of that track, and then Sam rapped the second half, and then Sam.
No.
No, that's
That
not
was
that.
Condition.
That's Condition. I mixed it with the songs, but yeah. So who
Ethan-
rapped in "Fall to Earth" then?
You did the whole thing.
I did the whole thing. Ethan wrote the second verse. I wrote the first verse. And yeah, like it's just, I think the thing is, I think there are a lot of bands who are very, like I think it's really important to sort of throw yourself out there and not be so sure of yourself. And if you're embarrassed of what you've done in the past, fuck it. Like
Yeah.
having the balls to go out and do it and just try something new. And like, I think that's super important. Like, I know a lot of musicians who write and they won't put it out because they're like, it's not ready yet.
Yeah.
It's like that the Dewey Cox movie where he's just like, he's got a fucking theremin going and like goats in the studio and he's like, it's not ready.
Yeah.
It's not ready. It's like, no, fuck that. Like,
Is that like a Beach Boys dig or what?
I think it was like a Brian Wilson dig.
Yeah.
Because Brian Wilson was all messed up on acid or something. But like, I do think that, like, if I make a mistake, like songwriting wise, or if I write something that I'm not particularly proud of down the road, I'm not going to regret it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think that that's a huge part of building your confidence and building resilience to criticism. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I think part of it too is that the way we've done this is that every time we've went into the studio, we've had those 5 songs for quite a long time already.
Right.
So like, for example, with the new album, we've had those songs for almost a year, like some of them up to a year before we went to the studio, and like by the time you go in the studio, you already have like 5 or 10 more.
Yeah.
So with the first EP, like last night we played a gig, and it was a longer set because we headlined, and we played 2 songs off the first EP. We played No Excuses and Virus,
And The Wire.
And The Wire, yes, we did play 3. The Wires was like kind of the
rock.
one that everyone seemed to.
Yeah, I like that song.
Everyone seemed to dig that song because that was when we first started getting into like dabbling with like effects pedals and like, going like spacey on Brad's part over there. So
yeah, that's when I discovered the dotted eighth, and I was like, oh
my god, me too.
I was like, I like that sound. Let's do more of that.
Someone told me that I reminded them of The Edge.
Yeah.
They're in Toronto. I'm like,
Yeah.
They just like a lot of people just see people who play instruments and they're like, oh, you're like that dude that plays that instrument.
Yeah, definitely. They like see your pedal board and then the only guy
like, oh, you have a lot of pedals.
We
You must be like The Edge.
Yeah. We did this show at the Bovine and we like play and we like go outside to like cool off afterwards and come back in. There's just this like drunk middle-aged dude at the bar and he's like brings me in and like he just spends like 10 minutes being like, you guys need to be signed, like you need to like get signed. And I was like, oh yeah, you should like, you know, tell the guys that do that, you know.
Tell the guys to so
yeah. It's like, you just need to do it. And I was like, it doesn't really work that way, but like thanks. It's funny like what just like the random guy will just say to you.
Walk in the dine alone, this dude in the street in Toronto said, sign us.
This hammered guy at Bovine thinks that you should probably sign us.
Yeah.
You're like, I just think that's funny what people will say to you.
Oh man, yeah, that happens all the time. Like, that's the thing is like last night after our show, we had like a lot of great comments and everyone was really enthusiastic, but everyone's also half in the bag.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like everyone's in when you are intoxicated to a certain degree. Everything is really exciting. Everything is, you know, your expressions are really enthusiastic.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I think as a band, sometimes you have to kind of temper.
Got a party going on.
Smash Bros. outside.
Fuck, I love Smash Bros. But yeah, it's hard, and it can be discouraging sometimes if you think that like people are really sincere and saying like you guys are fucking great.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is sincere, and sometimes it's a little hyperbolic, and sometimes it's just being drunk.
That's what happens.
You know what I mean?
That's also
like,
what happens when you play in front of your friends too, right?
Yeah,
like,
and they're gonna support you no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. They're coming out to support you, but like you know they don't listen to your style of music, so
yeah. It's like the thing that like your mom likes you, and it's like that's great.
Yeah.
But, like,
My mom was there in full effect last night. So.
Ethan's parents are
waving
at every
me
single
down.
show. My dad refuses to come to a show. My dad's a stuck-up classical musician, so he's like, no, I'm not coming out to a show, Max. You're just noise.
Oh man,
that's what he describes all rock.
Yeah. We're getting there. We're getting more
except
Sonic.
his own rock.
That's true. Yeah.
Except his own rock. His own rock is like
Steely Dan.
My dad plays like Steely Dan.
Unless you're as good as Steely Dan, you're not.
Yeah.
That's
ridiculous.
That's a high bar.
Yeah,
they're good.
They even have a high bar for their own band.
Yeah.
They like switch it
they
every
switch
10
up
days.
musicians every session.
Yeah.
So
Perfectionistic.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to like the just like past accomplishments or whatever, I definitely relate a little bit to that because we're writing new stuff and we're still promoting like the EP that we just put out. So it's like every time I've been like, here it is, but like the new shit's like really good. Like don't worry about whatever's on here. Like the new stuff's even better.
And I can imagine that's like with like even with like touring bands. You know what I mean? Like these guys go out and they're writing music on the road and they're playing the old songs every night. And like especially like with bands that have a huge first album and then maybe take a step back on their second album, and all the fans want to hear the first album, but yet the band's really high on the new stuff.
Definitely.
So it's
Well, that's
just
how it is.
Man,
it's how it
I've
is.
seen Steel Panther 4 times, and I've seen them throw
Why?
Brad is a fan of
because
Steel
I
Panther.
think it's hilarious. I love it.
good.
And each time they've just played the original album every single
Right.
time, even though they've had 4 albums.
Yeah.
That's
I think,
crazy.
I think that's just sort of the mentality that you have as like an artist and as a like when you're creating things. It's like
Definitely.
you're always going to. You really can't get out of your head and be like and look at it with foresight and be like 10 years from now, how good is this that I'm doing
Yeah.
right now? Because you're so intimately involved in its creation.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you just can't be objective at all.
Definitely.
Like we feel the same way about our new stuff. We're thinking like, I don't know. Like we played 3 new songs last night, right?
Yeah, 3 songs that we played a bunch of songs that aren't recorded, but 3 new ones that we've written in probably the past.
Past 2 months.
Yeah,
Like
2 or
we
3
nearly
months.
have enough for a new EP,
Right.
and we're looking at these new songs compared to the other ones, and I think that that's just the reaction. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah.
definitely.
It's like our new stuff is always going to be better.
Which I think is like good
always
too. Like
evolving.
as long as you're not like exactly like chasing that first thing that you did, because that's when it starts to like
Yeah.
get
Definitely
boring,
not.
right?
Yeah. Yeah,
But I think, sorry, I was just gonna say though, like, from our first album to now, and looking to the future too, like, just from our sound, you could tell that, like, on our first album, there are like definite. You can hear like spaces, you know what I
Right.
mean, in the songs, and we're starting to fill those spaces in with like
right.
just continuity
Yeah.
and things
Right.
like that. And I think that that's still improving with our newer stuff.
Oh, and we're
And I think the
dialing
biggest
in
thing
on
on
it.
the new EP, on What You Forgot, is that when we had all these songs written, and like we added a lot of parts before we went in the studio, like lead lines.
Right.
So like Brad will be
Hang and
honest.
wait.
Brad will be honest. He'll just be like, "Man, I'm kind of bored in this verse," and we're like, "Why don't we try to figure out a lead line?" And,
Yeah.
and that like we tried to almost have a lead line on almost every part.
Yeah.
Right.
In that
Hang and
album.
Wait, that lead line for in the chorus was written like
2 weeks before.
2
we
weeks
went in.
before
Yeah.
we went in. We're like,
Right.
wow, that's fucking sick.
And
Actually.
so basically, like Sam and Brad will come up with the lead line, then Brad will take it home and figure out what effects need to go on
Right.
it, and then go from there.
I'm not.
Jump
No,
in the
I'm more.
spaceship.
I'm not. What effects need to go on? I'm like, dude, I haven't used a vibe on anything, so I'm gonna throw a vibe on this,
Yeah,
Which works.
yeah.
which works. Yeah, it works
Brad
in the new
has
song.
Brad has a plethora of
I didn't know. I
options.
saw his board. It's pretty wild.
It's already been
Uh,
rebuilt since you
I
last seen
I
it.
rebuilt it since then.
Just Hayden's
I got a-
like
I
that
got a
with his
switcher.
bass board. Yeah. Oh
A
really?
Boss ES8.
Yeah,
So
that's
Brad's
crazy.
got a Terra 42 for those gearheads out there.
Yeah.
So that's like the size of a twin size mattress, pretty much.
yeah, Sam couldn't even move last night.
Yeah, the board.
I had to
Brad
angle it,
turned his
like-
board like halfway because Sam had like room to like even step back.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's what it is.
Do you guys know Bodhi Jive?
Only through you. I
Okay.
remember when we were at the show, one of your bandmates told me that you're like super into these local bands, like
Yeah.
Reddy the Prince was one of them,
Yeah.
and Bodhi Jar,
Yeah.
and Cleopatra, and
Yeah.
and then I started watching some of these podcasts, and I saw you did them with Bodhi Jar.
Yeah.
So I've only listened to a few of their songs,
Right.
but I mean I've heard a bunch about them through here.
Yeah. Drew's like that too. Like his board's like another guitar and a half like
Yeah.
case that he
Yeah.
carries around with him, and you can definitely like hear it in the music too.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
But,
cool.
I know there are
Yeah.
purists out there who sort of like look down on like the effects. I think I'm the only person who watched It Might Get Loud and actually liked The Edge more after I saw it.
Right.
Like I'm the only guy that I know who has said that, but it's because he sort of approaches. I was saying to Brad last night, he just approaches guitar. He doesn't look at it as a guitar. He just looks at it as a sound maker.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what
Which
I mean?
is what I do. I
Which
like
is-
to make noise and
Right.
make cool noise.
Yeah.
If I got when I play a 335, it feeds back like a son of a bitch.
Mhm.
But I'm like, okay, how can I mold this into something
Right.
Yeah.
You use that.
tasteful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think that there's
Try.
like a lot of like there's a lot of room for artistry when you have all those tools. Not
Definitely.
necessarily that you need them,
Yeah.
but if you have them, like fucking use them and
For
like,
sure.
see where you can go and try and make a guitar sound not like a guitar.
Definitely.
You know.
Our guitar player Nick, when I first, actually up until maybe a year ago now, he was like just guitar and like amp or whatever, and like did whatever he could with his tone through that. And Hayden's like a huge gearhead, and we're like, Nick, like you gotta get into pedals, you're gonna love it, like you're gonna get obsessed. And he was finally like, I know I'm gonna get obsessed, that's why I'm not doing it. And then he started getting in, and all of a sudden he's got this like big board now, and it's the same. He's like, oh, I missed out for so long because I like. He's a wicked guitar player, but there was this whole other like universe that he didn't want to dip his toe into.
Yeah. I know that like. Me and Brad.
If we talk about gear,
you guys got a problem.
That's the thing is that on the way here, Sam's like, we're not talking about gear in this interview, and it's already went this way. But I just want to say that like me and Brad are both in full-time careers,
right?
So like we have a steady paycheck, and like a lot of bands, you know, if they're touring and stuff, like they're struggling for money, right?
Definitely.
Depending obviously on the level, but you know, like we have like a paycheck every 2 weeks. And it's like. Every
down the drain.
Every paycheck. What am I looking at this week? So, but yeah, that's just so we have it. So why not use it?
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Also, I just like to point out that is so cool that Arctic Monkeys.
Oh yeah.
Where? Oh, dude, that's rad.
Yeah.
Me and Sam were huge Arctic Monkeys fans in high school. He still is. I'm not as much anymore. But, but yeah, that's rad.
I've been getting enraptured by that one too. That one's pretty sick.
This is this one and the Foo Fighters one are both glow in the dark too.
Oh, that's rad. That Foo Fighters one's cool.
Yeah. This was actually like a 3-piece. So like this was the second leg of the tour for Like Clockwork, and they did London, Oshawa, and Montreal. So I think like all 3 posters make one big thing.
That's incredible.
Crazy.
That is sweet.
Well, I like wasn't living here at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was like way back, and so that's just where we ended up was Oshawa. Yeah. I've seen them like.
That is sick.
Well, I've seen them 4 times, which is like twice on that tour and then twice on the most
We
recent
saw them
tour.
once last year.
Yeah,
we saw them.
Right
Me and Brad saw Royal
With
Blood
Royal
3
Blood.
times that year.
Oh, really?
And that was the 3rd show.
That was my first time seeing Royal Blood. They were quite good.
Yeah, so, well, they
were
opened for both shows they
Yeah.
did or whatever. Yeah, so I saw them twice too. We were like we saw them at the Molson Amphitheater too, and we were like almost front row basically.
Oh, we were near the back.
There was
We were
like
like 400.
Well, I got my brother to like buy tickets, and my brother's a pharmacist, and I was like working like cutting grass that day, so I was like, "Can you like handle the tickets or whatever? Like get whatever." And then I get the receipt, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" I was like, "Yeah, floors." He's like, "Yeah, is that okay?"
Rad, man.
And I was like, "Yeah, that's totally dope."
Those
So like
tickets
we
are
got
always
there.
so expensive.
Oh yeah, so I was like, "Fuck it!" Like this is my 3rd time. I want to get like as close as possible this one
may as
time.
well.
Yeah, because then when we saw them in London, I got like tickets further back at Bud Gardens.
Yeah.
Didn't really care at that point, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to see them.
$80.
Yeah, exactly. But I got like as close as I could that most. They're so good. Like you can see them whenever because they don't play the same set. Like it's always like a little bit different.
They're one of those bands that's like annoyingly good.
Yeah.
The Queens are just and Josh is just like.
He's perfect vocally, man. It's kind of crazy how good he is.
Yeah.
Sam mentioned to me one time we were watching like a Queen's video. He's like, "Have you ever noticed Josh never screws up like vocal? Like he's never flat. Like he's always perfect." And it's like, it's true.
Yeah, they're incredible.
Muscle memory.
And I remember at that show, at that Molson Amp show, we're like, "Do you think they'll play Song for the Dead?" And like no, and then when they went into it, Ethan's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
We were like in these like
close
tiny
with
little
it.
aisles, and I was just like jumping.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I was gonna break a like shin or something.
I thought you were gonna break my shit because you like started jumping. You're like, "Fuck, man!" You started like shoving me, and I'm just like fucking bouncing.
Oh, such a
That
good
was
track.
what? That was our. We saw 2 shows at the Molson Amp as a band. The one
Prophets.
previously was Prophets of Rage.
Who were also great.
shit.
That was pretty
so
rad.
very good.
Like Tim Comerford's like probably my biggest influence on bass, like rock wise.
Yeah.
And like getting to see him rock out live is just like, oh my god. And like his tone, oh my god. So
Oh my god, his tone.
yeah, no, that was rad.
That's
Max
awesome.
creamed.
Yeah, I mean,
Little
like
bit.
Songs for the Dead's like the only song they can really close with, and I think that's a constant. And anytime I've seen them, that's what they've closed with.
Yeah, they don't need Mark Lanigan for it either. They can just. they
No,
can do it.
Josh still sounds great. It's crazy that like Josh didn't want to sing. Like that's why he's like hardly on those first few records.
Yeah.
And like.
Well, he didn't
his
sing
voice
in
is unreal.
Caius, did he?
No, he just
No.
played guitar.
He
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
I think that's one of the strengths of especially the one after Rated R with Songs for the Deaf.
Yeah.
Like, because Alain Johannes is on a
Yeah.
bunch, and
Nick
Mark
Oliveri, man,
Nick
Sings
Oliveri.
Millionaire. That song does take, I think, a bit of a hit without Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, you need
definitely,
Nick for that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, no,
You
that
need
sounds
Nick.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Josh's crooning is
Yeah.
amazing, but not for that song.
And Mikey's good at
Yeah.
screaming,
Yeah,
but I don't
yeah.
think he could withstand it for a full song like Nick
Yeah,
could.
Definitely.
Right? So
Yeah. Their current lineup though is one of the
it's
best.
so,
though. So
man, they're
good.
so good. They're so
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah. They're real good.
Yeah.
Like their drummer, Theodore.
Yeah.
He was from Mars Volta, wasn't he? Yeah. No, but he was tight.
Which is unreal. I was talking to the drummer from Bodhi Jar. Those guys are like huge Mars Volta fans, and he was like, "Man, like John's great in Queens, but like Mars is like waiting on him, and like he's not gonna leave Queens because like I'm sure Queens is a pretty good paycheck."
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you're getting to see the world too, right? And like, I think Mars Volta's, aren't they like talking about doing a?
I think so.
Because I'm a big Juan Alvaretti fan, so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I would be totally okay with Dave Grohl just going back on the drums for 2 years.
I'm okay with that too.
That'd be insane.
That would work very well for me. They've had a lot of good drummers, but Dave is...
Well, like, and especially like that, like the Songs for the Deaf record is got him all over it.
Yeah,
it's
so good.
Like, he drummed for half of like Clockwork too.
Yeah, he
they're
did a
in
few
between
songs.
drummers, and I think like he's on like half of that.
Yeah, they had 3 drummers on that album, I believe.
Yeah, they did. They had Joey, and then I think
who was also great.
Yeah, Joey was
Like,
good. He was just in the band for that like weird time, like that Lullabies and like Air Vulgaire, which are still both great albums. They're just like
Lullabies is my favorite one, man.
I know. I love
love
both
Lullabies.
of them, but they definitely get like lower on the list or whatever when you're looking. But
Yeah, they do.
I think that's what's also great about Queens though, is it's kind
Queens,
of like whatever you're feeling at the time is what record is.
Well,
better.
if you think of like in the last 15 years, like how I would say that rock and roll has sort of fallen out of favor with like, it's not trendy.
Definitely.
It's not trendy. It's not like in the 70s, I imagine, you had these bands like Zeppelin and, Boston, and like rock was like the center of the popular music universe in some ways. But during the 2000s, it was kind of like, there were the White Stripes, but then they broke up.
Yeah.
And Blink-182, and then they broke up.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, the
Queens...
Raconteurs just dropped 2.
After like 15 years.
That's
the thing,
crazy.
but like Queens of the Stone Age and the Foo Fighters were basically during the 2000s like the only persistent like output of rock music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And in that respect, I think that especially with Queens with their style, because it's not super palatable. It's not like it's not Foo Fighters.
It took me a long time to get
You know
into
what I mean?
Queens.
Me too. It took me a couple like runs at it, and then when I finally like got it, I was like, oh, like this is the best thing I've ever listened to. Like, this is it.
I think Queens have been just carrying the torch for guitar music. Really.
Totally. That's what's so good about them is like, I've never really met anybody that's just been like, yeah, Queens is okay. Like, if people, you either love them or you don't listen to it, which is what I think is
if you're
good
into
because
guitar music, you have to.
We saw that at the show last night.
Yeah.
We our last song on the first EP, No Excuses, we started like splicing in the intro and the first verse from Song for the Dead.
Okay.
And then goes into No Excuses, and like as soon as we started playing it, like you could tell the Queens fans were staying, and everyone's like, I'm going to the bar.
Yeah. Man, we jammed that like a month ago, just like cause like Nick will always tease it, and then because like the drums are fucking wild, right?
Yeah.
And so we just like went for it one night, and we did it, and we're like, oh, that was fucking wild. And I was like, too bad we can like never really like do that though. Like nobody would like we do Little Sister, and like people either that are Queens fans love it, but it's also like a palatable song.
Yeah, it was a pretty mainstream song.
Yeah,
right?
so like you can't just like, I mean, we could do it, and who cares? But like,
I think that's why we only played like a little bit.
Yeah,
of it,
it'd be
right?
tough to like do it and then have people be like, "What? Like, I don't know what the fuck this is."
Yeah, exactly. It's a planned song.
Yeah.
I wrote those drum parts.
Totally original.
And there's not a lot of like vocal in it for me to like not be playing guitar and then just
Right.
be singing it. Like, yeah, it'd be strange.
Gotta be
but-
doing something crazy
Yeah,
up there.
exactly. It would be a lot of dancing.
Yeah.
For sure. That's pretty crazy. Do you guys have any like either like great show stories or like maybe like awful show stories? Like anything that was.
I have an awful show
we have-
story
we have-
right off the bat. I know exactly which one it is. So
Cover show.
Yeah, so when we were a cover band, it was actually the first show we played. Was it the first show we played Fall to Earth at too? It was like we had just written our first song. I think it was the Christmas show at the Legion in Stratford. Was it not that one?
Army Navy.
Army Navy.
No, like where we.
No,
I'm talking about Mr.
Yeah,
Brightside.
no, it was at the Legion.
Oh,
yeah, no, I know.
fuck.
So we tried covering Mr. Brightside, and
What a fuck.
everything got turned around. Sam came in with the vocals early, the lead line came in late, and then me and Ethan are like, dude, what the fuck is happening right
We'll
now?
just pick it up
And
and
we're
go.
like, you know what? We're just gonna finish the song all
like-
different times.
Yeah.
Like,
No, dude, we've
I'm
had
like,
some.
fuck, I can't play
We've
this.
had some spectacular fuck ups, but like, again, it's interesting. I think it's because we're playing for so many people who aren't necessarily they're there to see us, not necessarily
Right.
to hear the music and contemplate it and stuff.
Right.
We played playing Champagne Supernova. You and I were in E flat standard, and you were in E standard.
That's
The entire song.
That's totally happened. And
No, you guys tuned up, and I just went straight into it.
Is that what
so
it
I
was?
in E
Yeah.
flat. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
and,
other way around.
And when we covered Break Stuff that one time, there's like 2 notes. It goes ba ba,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
for like the whole verses, pretty much, and the whole intro. And the
As soon
second
as
note,
I played that, it was
the-
like fucking
the-
beer bottles.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a
happened.
crazy.
The second note, though, out of those 2 notes, I was playing the wrong note the entire way throughout the song. Yeah, because I like totally forgot what it was. 2 notes, forget what it is.
That's
So-
the thing. No one in that
Nobody
entire
knows.
venue
Yeah.
would be in their
No.
right mind to be like, "That's not right."
And that's when we were doing like 20 to 25 song sets
Okay.
for
Oh, that was
covers.
fucking brutal.
And it's like, how do we, like, and we were
Like
playing like
2.5
probably like
hours.
4 shows throughout the year in Stratford, and it's
Right.
like, how do we get these songs together the most? Because it's like, some of them we don't like individually, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but you're just trying to do crowd pleasers.
Trying to
Yeah.
think of any other ones. Like, since we've started doing original stuff, and since our priority has been sort of propagating our stuff,
Right.
it's like we've been pretty good. Like, we haven't had any.
Yeah, not that I can think of. I mean, we played the Horseshoe Tavern in front of 4 people. But I mean, that happens.
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
played a killer set. I thought that went really well, actually, and the sound was
Remember that
great.
one fucking guy who's up front, just like condescendingly,
Oh yeah,
just
no,
being
they're
like,
because they were a country band before us, and he
It was
comes
a
up
country
and he's
band
just
before us.
doing this.
It's like,
I'm
bro, I will
like,
literally
Yeah, we
smack
started
you in
playing.
the face with
We have
my
a song
guitar.
called Head, and it's like it's actually one of the only songs I've written like instrumentally,
Good
and
job.
yeah, I know, and
It's very stoner.
and it's not recorded. It's an unrecorded song right now, but it's like I tried to make it like as grungy as possible,
Right.
and so like the opening riff is like super like descending chromatic,
Yeah.
and as soon as we opened up with it, the one dude at the front was just like,
Oh my
yeah.
god.
And I was just like, okay, I don't know if you're like being
Yeah.
being serious, but and then he just walked out. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. That's tough. Those
How
ones
you
are hard
get
to
those,
deal
though?
with. We played the Hideout and to like nobody.
I've heard that
It's
place.
It's in
Yeah.
Toronto.
Yeah, I've heard that place.
Dude, it was a kind of a bummer because it's actually a really nice spot and it's like really cool looking and like nobody showed up. It's hard to book a show there though because they do they're open to like 4 or something.
Oh wow.
oh,
So
yeah.
they have a house band from like 11:30 to like 3 and they booked us from 10 to 11. And then so we go and the promoter's like really nice and it was like guaranteed money.
Strange.
So my girlfriend was back home at the time, which is in Toronto. So she came to like take photos and brought 2 of her friends, and those were the only people that were there. And like one of Nick's friends came, but like before we go on, like one of the waitresses was like, "Oh yeah, like people don't show up till like 11:30." I was
Great.
like, why are we
Why are we
on
here?
10 to 11 then? And they're like, yeah, you gotta play. So we play for like an hour, and our last 2 songs, people start like funneling in. We're done. We load out, come back in to get paid, and it's just packed. I'm like, awesome. This is so like
Great.
worth our trip to Toronto.
Well played.
Damn.
Hey man, it's like it's
that's
just,
the covers.
It's
though,
just
right?
one of those like whatever.
We're in Toronto so much that it's like I'll play shows on Thursdays, Monday nights. It's just like I just
Yeah.
want to play.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like for
Yeah.
me, like playing music. Like if you're not playing live, then
No, and it was our first time in Toronto, and it was just like, now whatever, now we can say we played here.
Exactly.
And like as soon as we were done, Hayden's like, I guess this is just like one of those grinded out shows.
That was
And I
the-
like,
like,
yeah,
Toronto's
now it's
the
a
only-
story now, like whatever.
Yeah.
Toronto's the only city that we've actually gotten into consistently. Like,
Yeah.
we've been trying for
There's
years
so
to get
many
into London and
places to
KW
play.
and stuff.
yeah.
London
And-
is a grind.
Yeah.
It was tough for us to even get started.
One
in
dude.
London. Like yeah, there's one guy, and he's a great dude, but everybody's trying to talk to him.
I can
So,
imagine. Yeah, he's
if
been running
you-
shows here forever, man.
Yeah, so if you're not from here, and then there's like, I've had other bands ask me, and I've been like, there's other places to play, but like, I don't know if it's totally worth your time to make the trip to like come over to get people to come out, because even there's spots where like locals have a hard time getting people to come out just from like where they are
Yeah.
or whatever, and it sucks. For like, if you can get a Rumrunners gig, for the most part, it's gonna be a good show.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we did Fitzroy's like a lot, which is like not even really a music venue.
Honestly, I don't
But
even
What's
know
that called?
place.
yeah, it's called Fitzroy's. It's like not even really a venue. They just have like music there, but they pay like really well.
Yeah.
So we had like we played a Wednesday night, which was just a random assortment of music. And then, but the promoter loved us.
Yeah.
But it was funny because when we were doing that show, I was like, it was our 3rd show, so I was like still working my banter and everything. And I said something about it being our 3rd show. So some of our friends were there, and then there's 2 guys behind them who I guess were just like chirping us the whole time. It's like, oh, like thanks so much for coming to us, like our 3rd show. And they're like, yeah, like obviously it's your third tune. And then so like I didn't hear any of this till afterwards, and they told me, and it was just like every time I'd be like, couple more songs left, and they'd be like, Jesus, like these guys aren't done yet.
Come on.
But like the promoter was like, loved you guys, like we want you to come back and get you on a Saturday, it's gonna be great. And then
Nice.
my buddy like told me all that shit, and I was like, it's like whatever. If the promoter hated
Yeah,
us, I
that's all
maybe
that
would have been more
matters.
concerned. But
Yeah.
like fuck those
Yeah.
two dudes, like whatever.
That stuff can like get to you though. Like
For sure.
like,
If you let it,
Yeah.
If you
you gotta
That's
like just shake that
you
shit
just
off.
gotta
Yeah.
fucking
like I'm
wipe your shoulders. They fuck off.
like I'm pretty confident. Like I'm a pretty confident guy, but I'm also like I'm always in my head. Like I know these guys know. Like I remember before we went in to record this album, I was like kind of freaking out. Brad and I were just working on the lead parts, and like this was the first album where we like I had no idea what we were gonna sound like coming out of this album,
Right.
and I'm beyond pleased.
Yeah.
But I was like doubting myself so much. I was like, do we really think these are the 5 best songs we have? And these guys are like,
It's
yes,
like-
these are fucking good songs, Sam.
He's
Like,
like, do you think it's gonna sound good? I'm like, yeah.
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 Dude, we played these songs for like a year. Like I'm sure it'll be great. And Sig was awesome to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Siegfried Meyer. He's based out of has a studio called Beach Road Studios, and he's just like the coolest dude. We were there for like 5 days, and he has like a band house you live in.
Oh,
It's like right near
nice.
the beach.
Yeah.
And
That was
and it was
sweet.
like we would just wake up, get there for noon, and then work until however late it needed to go. Like when we
10,
first started,
11?
when we tracked vocals, I think it was the second or third day. I think it was the third day. Sam did memoirs at like 11 at night.
Oh no way.
Yeah,
yeah, that was fun.
yeah.
Because we tracked my guitar and then went right to vocals.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So we went like right to vocals, things like let's do
I
it.
wasn't really anticipating it either. I was
No.
I was
Yeah,
sort
no.
of chilling at that point, having some beers. And
Yeah. You go
Stig was like, get in there. I was like, duh, okay.
yeah.
But-
But it was awesome, man. Like that was.
Yeah.
That was
Like
a great
speaking
time.
of like experience of my life, that was like one of the funnest 5 days I've ever had.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was really.
And I've never been a fan
amazing.
of the studio because it's just like I prefer to play in front of people.
Right.
But like that was just awesome.
You gotta try to like capture that energy
Yeah.
that you can do on stage. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be tough getting
Mhm.
that when
I
you're
just
all individually.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe like once I think the first like demo from that session that we heard was Hanging Weight, and Sig played it for us in his studio, and I
A
was
rough
just,
mix, yeah.
and as soon as I finished hearing that song, I immediately was like, now I believe in this band a
Yeah,
lot
for sure.
because I was, and I'm still very, I'm quite sure that we've put out a quality album.
Definitely.
But it's so crazy what a good quality recording, like a really good quality
Mhm.
recording can do. Like it just,
Mhm.
Yeah,
this is nuts.
for sure.
Night and day, man.
I remember we brought our like first mix back from Dan Broadbeck, who did ours. He's a coordinator and like won a Juno and shit for the stuff. And so we like all came in here and I like cranked it, and we're all just like, holy fuck, like this is crazy, like way better than the iPhone recordings we've been doing. And like the like song "Explain Me Away" was one that I had written before like coming to London or anything, so I had like a really shitty demo that I did in like GarageBand, and like some of the structure was different.
Yeah.
So like listening to that forever, where like at the time I was like, it's alright, it's not bad. Like,
That's like
I
all
did
of our
okay.
stuff, too.
Yeah.
You start out there and you just like
Yeah.
you don't understand.
Yeah, like what's good and what's
Yeah.
not doesn't sound good. at
Exactly.
all.
It's
Yeah.
just that's when I get in my head. That's
Yeah.
I'm just like I just don't know what to think.
Are you tough on yourself with vocals, or are
Yeah,
you like
I'm really hard on myself with everything. Like I didn't
Never
play.
satisfied.
I never played guitar in high school. I don't know chords.
Mhm.
I can write. I have a really good ear, and I'm confident of that. But like
Right.
I don't have any sort of like musical expertise that I can sort of use as to say like I know this is good because of X.
Right.
The only thing that I have to work with is my ear, and these dudes just like help me.
Right.
So it's like I don't know. That I'm very hard on myself. I'm very, very hard on myself.
I'm also hard on Sam.
Max is basically like my brother. He and I have been friends since we were like 12.
Right.
And if Max doesn't like something I'm doing, he'll say that's shit.
You let him know.
Honestly, though, I think that's good.
It is.
Especially
Yeah.
like vocally, I started taking lessons in the summer, which like it was just never something that I planned on doing.
Yeah.
And we've been demoing stuff, and like Drake has been in here, and he's really good with like producing and shit, and he'll like tell me what he actually thinks, and he'll help me with like notes and stuff. But I was at like a weird point where my knowledge of like where I can be singing and where stuff should be is a little bit ahead of like physically like where I can go, like because I'm still working on like
That was
new
our
parts
first
of my
EP.
voice. Yeah, so I'm like, fuck, like now I like totally know where everything needs to be, and I'm struggling on like making it happen. But if you have people there, they're like, oh, it's fine. Yeah, it sounds good.
Our first album was with our friend Zach. Was vocally, it was just nightmarish.
Right.
I'd come up with all these vocal melodies. I write most of my vocal melodies like on a guitar. Like I'll just sit there and I'll just start plucking away and humming and then adding words.
Right.
And I'd come up with all these melodies, and by the time it was time to record them with Zach, I was just like, I couldn't sing them. Like they were just out of my range. And I didn't realize that until you're singing like with full tonality and at full volume. That's when you're like, oh, that's when you're very aware of your limitations.
Definitely.
That was also when we decided, like right after we were done recording the first EP, we were like, let's drop everything down a half step.
Yeah.
Right.
So we started playing an E flat and drop C sharp rather than E standard and drop D, and that immediately helped Sam with like a bunch of songs.
Yeah.
Off the first album especially, like was The Wire a tough
The Wire
one?
was a fucking pain in the ass, man.
Yeah, and we dropped it down. It's made it a lot easier. So.
Yeah, and that's been a long process. I've really like I'm learning how to do this as we go, and that was one of the moments where I was like, I just hadn't anticipated that was a process I'd have to go through where, you know, it's not as simple as coming up with a melody. You have to come up with a melody that's within your means to sing. And then you have to make sure that you can do that consistently over the course of shows.
Definitely.
And within the studio as well.
For sure. Because it's not the same as, like, playing a guitar where, like...
No.
I mean, playing guitar's not easy, but, like, the notes are there. You know if you played an A or not. Where, like, when you're like, singing, it's all feeling, basically. And, like, knowing if you're there or not. Yeah. And the confidence to do it, too.
Yeah, that was a problem for me for a while.
Same, same for me. Like, confidence is so important, especially with singing, definitely. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, so like, what are some like local bands? I use that term like loosely, but like bands that aren't like signed or anything that you guys want to, excuse me, you guys want to do some shows with?
John's band, right?
John's band?
Jonathan.
Woodstock?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my buddy from work has just started a new original project, and it's
right on.
And it's rad because like me and Sam and like Brad to a certain extent have really started getting like the modern grunge movement that actually happened like 5 or 6 years ago, but I just wasn't listening to music during that time. Like
I was in a hole.
Well,
I wasn't listening to music.
That's a whole other story. Okay, but
in a dark place.
So like my friend Jonathan's band from Woodstock, they like I went to go see their very first show at this place called Riffs, and like they said he said he'd been rehearsing with them for like 7 months, but they hadn't played the show, and they played the show, and I was like, dude, that was
What's the band's name?
I'm so bad with names. I was a financial advisor, so when people tell me names, it's just like
you're even better with numbers though, right?
No.
What was their float?
They're called okay, I remember they're called Unknown World. And they're like brand new. Like literally have one show under their belt, and it's like as soon as I heard them, I was like, we need to get them on one of our lineups for sure.
They're and Controversial Sharks from Waterloo and Travesty from London, who we played with last night. Both
Sharks.
We played the Sharks. Yeah, we
well.
played with the Sharks now 3 shows. 2 in Stratford and 1 in Toronto at Smiling Buddha.
And I used to go to Laurier for my undergraduate degree, and I know Jeff is from Laurier, and I would always see this weird little dude with his beard and super loud and gregarious, and he's always in the coffee shops talking about music, and I never knew who he was.
Right.
And this is like 2016, and then I think we heard about the Sharks for the first time last year.
A few years ago. We met him in Long McQuaig because he works in Long McQuaig.
Right.
And we were just jamming. I was jamming on a Gretsch, and like I had it like super like down tuned and like playing like metal style guitar. And he walks in, he's like, "Dude, how are you playing that on that Gretsch right now?" And then I ended up talking to him. I was like, "Are you Jeff?" And like mutual friends and whatnot.
Yeah.
His band is really cool because he plays fiddle.
Oh, okay.
He doubles on fiddle and guitar, and like having a fiddle in like a rock band is really
he puts
unique.
his fiddle through like a fucking like memory man, and it just like
and it goes through a guitar with distortion and stuff.
That's
it's
so
rad,
cool.
man.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it kind of sets them apart, right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
they it's such a unique sound, and they're both amazing vocalists.
Yeah,
him and John, the
so
bassist.
Yeah.
It's just like we were like I saw him last night. I was like, dude, like I didn't think you guys could get better, but you got better at singing. Like it was awesome.
They're very cool.
They're wicked.
They were tough to follow last night.
I'm trying to think. There's
And
Sharks,
just holds
Travesty.
it down on the kid.
Who else have we played with?
I know. See,
We played like Lee's Palace when we played there a few weeks ago. Sex Beat. That band
Sex
was
Beat
fucking
was rad,
super
man.
cool.
Yeah, they were like, I don't even know how you said they sound like Piss Jeans.
Yeah, they sound like Piss Jeans. And I was like, I went up to the dude, I was like, you guys sound like Piss Jeans. Pretty sure he was stoned. He's like, who's that?
Yeah.
I was like, what? It's a compliment.
Yeah.
And
The last band, what was their
the
name?
Mystics?
Mystics.
They're super nice dudes.
Yeah.
They were cool.
And
Very
Body
furry.
Double. Huh?
Very furry.
Very furry.
He's right. The guitar player is wearing like a thick, like a mink fur
Yeah.
vest
Oh, nice.
with no shirt underneath.
Pretty badass.
It was
crazy.
crazy. And they're kind of like classic. I don't want to say classic rock, but they're like on the psychedelic, like
Yeah.
Doors /
Okay.
Yeah.
like that kind of element, but like with ripping guitar solos, and all of them were amazing. They have like an organ and stuff in the band. It was-
Right.
Like we've got paired with some weird bands in Toronto because they just like compile shows, right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, but like they were impressive, and their
Yeah.
vocalist was damn good.
Yeah.
What was the first band we played Lee's Palace with?
Houndskull.
Yeah.
They're like
They
a,
were-
they were maybe like
fucking
Viking
intense,
metal,
man.
but they were like shredded.
They just shredded. The
And
bass
one
player's
thing
like
is,
going like
bass
this and
player's playing,
singing. I'm like,
Air riff from
Yeah.
Protest the
what
Hero.
the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, the bass player's playing like Air from Protest the Hero and singing all the parts, and I'm like, dude, how are you even doing this right now?
Not even
about,
looking, and he's just going.
Yeah.
He's a
The
Viking.
fucking the Inclines, that band that we played with at
Oh,
Harmony
yeah,
Lunch,
yeah.
man,
They
those
were
guys
tight,
are
man.
fucking tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are fucking tight, and we were talking to them afterwards.
I was
They were
like,
really
yeah.
friendly.
After this, I was
Nice
like, yo,
guys.
man, you sound like these kids were Crowns. I don't know if anyone remembers that band.
Yeah,
like from like
yeah.
the early
Yeah.
2010s. Like they were a pop rock band. I was
Yeah.
like, man, you guys got this shit together.
They were like like when we played that Harmony show, I really had no idea what to expect. It was our first
Yeah.
show in Motherlode,
Yeah.
and obviously you guys are amazing.
Oh, thanks.
And when the Inclines went up, I had no idea what to expect. And
Yeah.
it was like this, pop punk.
It's
sort
kind of like a
Cal-
weird lineup that way,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like,
It's what
they were
yeah.
tight though. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were very, very cool.
Yeah, they were very well rehearsed.
I like those.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think I actually saw at that Dirty Nil show. I think the guitar player was there.
Yeah, he
Which
was.
Yeah, he was,
So
he
were you
was.
at that show?
I think so. What happened was we came in later, like after they started,
Okay.
and I think I saw you, but like the band was already on, so I had you, and I was like, I'll talk to him afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you guys like moved, and I totally lost you, and we were like leaving right away, and I was like, oh fuck, like I totally missed him.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no point in me going up now, and when we can't hear anything, and being like, hey man, what's up? So
Yeah.
you were like, I was like at the back, and you were like over
The
here.
front left. Yeah,
Yeah,
the front
yeah.
left on like speaker. Me and Brad
Yeah.
were there, so.
Yeah.
And I
Where
was like,
exactly
oh
were
my
you?
god. And then I like totally fucked it up afterwards. I felt bad. I meant to message you and I didn't. But because we were, Jamie works there. So we
Okay.
were like, she was like, I could probably get you in for free. So I was like, okay, cool.
Nice.
And so we went later. It was funny. We got there and she like messaged Edie to see if we could get in. Because it was a sold out show, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, I brought money just in case or whatever. So we get there and Edie's outside like smoking. And Jamie's like, hey, like you never answered me. And he's like, oh, what's up? She's like, I want to like get Caleb and Josh in. And like Edie doesn't really know Josh, but he knows me. And he was like, no, like you only have like one guy in. And she's like, oh, like, come on, like what's the big deal? And he was like clearly stressed because this is a huge show. And I was like, it's not a big deal, like I'll pay. And he's like, no, it's all good, like come in. And then he like opens the door and puts his hand out like this. So like I assumed he wanted me to like pay him. So I was like in between like, and he's like, I want to shake your hand. Oh, true. It's like, it's a weird shake.
It's a weird shake, but I'll
Awkward
take
exchange.
it.
Yeah, it was pretty
Low
funny.
five.
Where was
man.
that show again?
Rum Runners.
Rum
That was a rad
Runners.
show.
It was
eh?
good. It was good. Yeah.
Man, like Luke's. I went up to Luke after. I was like, dude, your vocals are like next level awesome.
Yeah, man. I was like never a huge Dirty Nil fan until like shortly before they put out this new EP or new album. And like yeah, like the new one, I definitely like the newest one the most out of
Yeah.
like all of their stuff. But yeah, I'm like a huge fan now.
I think like this time last year, none of us really were into local music. I think because we all had our
I'm
like
just
big
really
bands we
getting
listened
into
to.
it now.
Yeah.
And then I caught up with one of my buddies who I was in a band with, Emmett O'Reilly, and he plays in a band called Pew 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 from
Yeah.
Toronto. And they are on the same. They were at the time on the same label as Pup.
Okay.
And they shared a jam space with them. And then through
wow.
that, I remember I watched their like audio tree session.
Okay.
I was like, look, there's Emmett, there's my bass.
Yeah.
And
There's my bass.
I sold him my bass way back in the day. And then like off the side, I saw like Dirty Nil, and I saw that all three of those bands played a show at like the Danforth.
Yeah.
And then I watched the Dirty Nil session. It was like a Sunday morning, and I was
Yeah.
like, dude, this is rad.
Yeah. You sent Zombie Eyed over, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what
and
the
Brad
fuck?
became obsessed. He's
I-
a huge Dirty Nil fan.
2018 was like, I listened, the first half of the year was Dirty Nil, Arcane Roots. Like, just swap,
Yeah, just
swap,
swap.
swap.
Yeah.
play this album full, next album full.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like since then, like we've all started like taking interest in like the local, like at least Ontario bands.
Yeah.
Like a couple weeks ago when I heard we were doing the podcast thing,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool, I'm gonna check out some of your stuff. And I
Yeah.
listened to Ready to Prince and
Yeah.
Cleopatra. I'm like, fuck those.
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
They're good.
Which is probably a good time to plug, because this will be out right after it's announced, is Plants and Lost Arts and Ray the Prince are playing a house show in London. So all you MIA kids, come out to that. It's going to be fucking unreal.
I'll be
It's
fun,
gonna be
man.
Crazy.
It's going to be wicked. Yeah, Ray the Prince is like fucking the best. And those guys are like genuinely
so
some of the
good.
nicest dudes I've ever met
Yeah.
before. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's always good when you like meet a band that's bigger than your band, and then they're not like assholes.
Totally. I was so, because like, they
That
play a
happens,
release
man.
show, and I was so nervous to reach
There are
out to
good
them.
people out there.
Yeah.
I disguised it as like asking them to do the podcast, because like I'm really like have a hard time asking people to play shows with them, because then you have to like sell your band. But with this, it's like, you want to come and like talk about yourself for an hour, like Crownlands did it, and then people are like, yeah, fuck it, okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, don't know how often you come to London, but like, you know, next time you do, come do the podcast. And like Steve was like, yeah, Mick, we'd love to do that. Thanks so much. Like, we have a really hard time getting in London though. And I was like, really? Because we got one more spot open for our release show. And they were like, oh, fuck yeah, we'd love to do that. And I was like, yes.
And that was at the
nailed
main
it.
hall too, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be Rum Runners. We got lucky with construction, but yeah.
Dude, that's like
Fucking so sick.
the
So
main
sick.
hall has been like my goal in life for the past
It was way
15 years. I saw so many bands. Remember when like the main hall was like how it was completely different structure?
Yeah,
The main
yeah.
hall was upstairs, like through the back doors.
Yeah.
I saw so many metalcore shows through there, and I was like, dude, I have
Blind Witness.
Blind Witness like 4 times.
Fuck, they were
Yeah,
intense. They were terrifying.
I saw like Purpose
So
Hero and
intense, man.
Structures.
nice.
I
Like,
think
all
I was
the-
at that protest show too.
Yeah, so like I was just like, man, this is like the best sound I've ever heard, and like
Yeah, it
I
was
want to
wicked.
play that stage. And then once we went and saw MacLeod last year, that was like my first time seeing like the new venue, and I was like,
Right.
holy shit, dude, this
It
is
was-
better.
Yeah. It was crazy because a week before Edie told me that they were moving it, we saw Frank Turner there, which is like one of my favorite artists of all time.
Oh yeah, I saw him in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like the Arkells.
Yeah, he's unreal, and it was just like even crazier to be like, whoa, like because we actually did one song on there, because in MIA there's a charity concert every year, but you do like a creative cover of a Canadian song, and my year was the first year they moved it to music hall, so everybody was like, oh, wicked, like we get to play this stage or whatever, so we did like a cover of Old Man, and it was like fun or whatever. And then, so we're like, oh, whatever, probably the only time we'll play music hall. That was really fun. We were up there for 5 minutes or whatever. And then Edie's like, we're moving it. And I was like, fuck, Share the Land. This is way better. I see like a 45 on here. But it was really cool to like see an idol of yours. And then like the next week be like, whoa, we're doing the same thing.
That's like
Yeah.
like the first concert I ever went to in my life. I saw Black Lungs, which was
Okay.
I was
Wade.
there.
Well, yeah, Sam was there. It was Wade McNeil's band from Lights on Fire, and actually Steele played bass on that show. And I remember I saw them. It was at the lounge downstairs in the old venue. And like 3 weeks later, my very first band I was ever in, we played the lounge.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, this is wicked.
It's so cool
Yeah.
to be like, whoa, even like Rum Runners, like 30 Nils played there, and then like we played there. And
Man, I
it's just
saw
so cool.
Architects there.
Yeah,
Like, they're
like-
a huge band.
Yeah, it's crazy like what like Edie can pull through there and stuff, and
Yeah.
and then be able to share the stage and stuff. Even with like Call the Office, like Queens has played Call the Office, and like Radiohead's
Radiohead's
played
played
Call
there,
there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
it's like, yeah.
I never knew
It's
that.
unreal.
That's crazy.
And like we got put on a bill there, and it was kind of like a whatever bill, and it was like a whatever show for us, and it was like one of our best shows, and I was like, I don't know if it was like the venue or whatever, but like it felt so cool to just like play up there. It's like the dirtiest place of all time.
Yeah.
and
So
in
now
the
you
most
imagine-
rock and roll
Yeah.
way.
I'm trying to imagine
Breathe in some of that
Radiohead.
rock and roll dust. And
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it was like March, and there's like no heating or air conditioning in that place, and they had 4 space heaters like going full bore, and it was still freezing. Yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, like imagining Radiohead there, but like imagining Radiohead
York.
now, yeah. Like,
And imagine like Queens playing there
Yeah.
now with like their like synths and
Yeah.
like 3 guitarists.
Oh,
I imagine
yeah.
that would have been like first generation
there'd be
Queens.
people like on the
Yeah.
floor.
Dean
They'd
Fertitta would be
have
on the
to-
floor.
Yeah, for sure.
would
That's
be
just
on
where
the
you know
floor.
your hierarchy in the band.
Yeah.
That's where you know where you are.
Or Josh would just be on the stage by himself, and the other dude.
Yeah, really just like, yeah. No, that's a great place though. It's like really good with some great
Yeah, it's a
stuff.
lot of fun.
So I popped there. Once Upon a Time.
Dude, I want to see them so badly.
Oh, you never
I
seen
haven't
them?
seen them yet.
It was crazy. Except Call the Office has that. Have you ever been like to the venue?
Yep.
Yeah,
I saw
so-
Vinny there.
Oh, right. Yeah,
last
you were
year,
telling me
yeah.
that. So you know that like pillar that's just there?
In the middle of
Yeah, I
sorry.
couldn't see. I couldn't see Sebastian like the whole time. I was like, where is he? Where is he?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anyway. How about like big bands that you guys want to open for? Anybody in the world? Dream lineup.
I feel like I know who Sam's gonna say.
Who?
Perfect Circle.
Well, no, A Perfect Circle is like that was one of the bands that I sort of reached back to my childhood, and because when we started this band, like I mentioned it earlier, we're all into such different stuff, so we're trying to find common ground. And A Perfect Circle specifically has that heaviness, and it's visceral, and it's
Right.
really,
Melodic.
and it's melodic, and
Yeah.
that, and I was like, that's the kind of heavy band I want to be in.
For sure.
I don't know. I always wondered if Biffy Clyro.
Oh yeah.
Like I would love to
Nice.
open for Biffy Clyro.
That could be cool.
That'd be
Yeah.
good. Man,
Totally.
open for them in like England where they get like
Yeah.
And those guys, like
100,000 people.
those guys, are one of the most that's one of the most impressive bands I've ever seen. Like I've only seen them on YouTube.
Right.
But, like you look at their performance, you look at there's 3 of them, and they just do so much, and you can just tell that those dudes take it so fucking seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we were ever in a position to like actually do this for a living, I would look to a band like that and be like, this is how you do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're all singing.
Yeah.
They're all in tune all the time.
Yeah.
They're fucking like they're so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a band I really look up to, and I'm like, those guys are
That'd be
pros.
wicked. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That'd be wicked.
Yeah.
I know who I'm gonna pick.
Who is it, Max?
Gonna do a quick reveal.
Failure.
Failure. Me and Sam, like
He was expecting the question.
Yeah. me and Sam really got into Failure right after we were in the studio with Sig.
Yeah.
Because he had mentioned.
Now
like,
I'm into them.
Yeah. Now Brad's into them as well, and like Fantastic Planet has become like one of my favorite albums. It's been on like a loop every day at work.
Awesome.
So, big into Failure for sure.
Oh, you'd be
Yeah,
sick. Smashing Pumpkins would be sick to open
Ooh.
for.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Down
cool.
for that.
I watched a video of them
Especially
playing.
with their having released new shit.
Yeah, man, their
Yeah,
new stuff
sure.
is tight too.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
good. Man, those guys do marathon shows. They're
I
in their
know.
like fucking 50s,
I
and like
know.
there's like a video of that Shining Oh So Bright tour on YouTube. It's 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Crazy.
Billy's up there with his little beer gut, and
Yeah.
he's just going, like shredding for like 3 hours. I'm like, dude, how do you do that?
We
Yeah.
played for like an hour and 15 minutes last night. I like slept like a baby.
Yeah.
I'm fucking gassed.
Yeah.
What about you? Who do you wanna open for?
So many people. So many
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah.
It's a long
Obvious-
list.
Yeah, like even just listening to bands that kind of emulate our own style and that we would match up really well with. Like
Yeah.
I think someone like Deftones
Okay.
or
That'd be cool.
Oh, I'd fucking die.
That'd be
for
crazy.
Super
show,
Heaven. Like
Super Heaven.
Oh,
Well, they're not
yeah.
banned anymore, but
oh, they're not.
no, they were done in 2016, but like we recently got into them.
Yeah, I was listening to them.
Yeah,
actually,
You never
fucking
know. They
rad.
could come back
That's
in
true,
and
yeah.
like they need a quick open.
Yeah.
That those 2 Super Heaven albums are so fucking good.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
only made
so
2.
good.
Found out about them through like Run for Cover Records, which did like
Okay.
all that grunge revival with like Basement and
Right.
Citizen and all those guys. And like Super Heaven just stuck out to me. I was like, heavy guitars,
Yeah.
good
Great
melodies. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're starting to finish our other segment.
Well, I think common ground for all of us too would be Incubus.
Incubus.
Yeah,
That was a
that'd be
big
cool.
first influence for
Yeah.
all of us, I think.
Yeah.
That was where we were all kind of first
That's
on the
where
same
we're all.
page.
Yeah.
Right on.
And like Incubus, I would love to like open for Incubus back in 2001.
Yeah.
When they had what was his name?
Uh,
Bassist, the old
Yeah,
bassist.
right.
But I still like Ben Kenny.
Ben
and like
Kenny's
their
fucking
new
badass.
stuff's still dope.
Right on.
Yeah.
and they're still killing it. And Mike Einziger is just, he's like, when I started playing guitar, and like I'm still working on like my capabilities, but when I think of like a really good guitar player who I'd love to be able to play like, it would be Mike Einziger from,
Oh, right on.
from Incubus. Because it's like we were saying earlier, he's like one of those guys who takes effects pedals and makes the guitar more than a guitar.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he's just, so
Wicked.
good.
Sweet. Is there anything else that I like didn't bring up that you guys want to talk about? Talked about the new EP a lot. What you forgot on all streaming services.
Yep.
Go check it out.
Yeah.
Plug away.
Go to a show. Buy a
Check out
CD.
the lyric video.
Yeah, that was
Set.
wicked. New lyric video.
From Taylor.
Yeah. Man, lyric videos are. It's funny, man, because like some people phone them in, And like, cause like lyric video, like it's not like a real video, but it's like it's content.
Yeah.
But like put the effort into it. Like I get kind of mad when people just are like, here's a lyric video, and it's just like they type the lyrics on the screen and like nothing happens. It's like be like a little bit more creative.
Yeah, we definitely went all out on that. I think Ethan got into contact with a company from Toronto.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Valor Media.
Yeah, they're doing that and another video for an upcoming song that I don't know if we should mention, and then possibly
It's on the EP,
That's true.
so
That's true. It's on the EP.
it's
The
not
song's
gonna
already
be.
out.
Yeah.
It's one of 4 songs.
Yeah.
So you have to guess.
And then
The anticipation is
and-
real.
and then hopefully
Then
a music video like down.
I think that's just what's to come.
Yeah, I think that's the big plan for 2019 is to try to get as much content out there because
That's what we're lacking.
I think
It's tough, and then it's like one of those things. Like as soon as you start, like you gotta keep
it
up.
going.
Yeah.
And it's not cheap.
No, not at all. That's the other thing that's with like lyrics. I like the one lyric video we have. I like did it myself. And like I was like pretty proud of it, but like it was just that of like, okay, well, like I can do this for free basically, and I know my way a little bit around like video editing software, because like you're dropping like a ton of money on music videos.
It's just like, it's frustrating. Like, I understand why image is so important. Like when I was a kid, like part of the reason I loved Blink-182 was because of the color of that Stratocaster and because of the Dickies shorts and all that crazy shit. But it's like, it's frustrating, like now that we're trying to, propagate our stuff. It's like, it's frustrating that image seems to be such a massive factor, but clearly it is. It's such a...
And you have to somehow do it without thinking. Like it has to come across like you had, like you didn't plan on.
It's not like Arctic Monkeys when Alex went full like slick back hair, leather jacket, he was playing, which was like you look at him in the first album and it's like he said he was gonna do everything but that. To fit into the American market, it worked immediately, right? So
and then you get the luxury of like being the Arctic Monkeys they take all that time off, they come back, it's not even close to what anybody was expecting. But like he gets the luxury of just being like, now he's got a beard and people are like, whoa,
playing piano.
He's all mysterious and shit. Like you can't do that as a new band.
No.
You have to be like really.
I do
Any
think
context.
I do think Alex Turner. I think is like the best all-around songwriter of this generation, though. I guess
For sure. I would agree with that.
Like, and his ability to traverse styles and genres is just like,
I think
you can't really touch them.
I'm gonna make a comparison. It's probably not the best thing to say, but I think when I see them and then think of how they've progressed, I think of them almost as like a modern day Beatles.
Okay.
And how different each album is.
Right.
Well, I guess the first to second isn't that different, but then when they came out with Humbug, we were like, what?
Yeah.
It was fucking badass.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that album, and
So good.
it gets such shit on so much.
I like it,
it's
man.
so good.
I like it more than
So
Suck It and See.
Also, like Josh Homme produced it, which like I think
Yeah.
probably has like a bit of like bias on me, but
Yeah.
still, I think it's great.
Yeah,
That's a good album.
Yeah.
but like, that's like, I don't know. I look at them and they just figured it out. Like they broke the internet when that first album came out in 2006, and then they were just off to the fucking races, and
And to make it in America, they came out with
AM,
and that just blew up in America.
You know what I
right?
also found was funny though is there'd be people that like got into AM, like or Arctic Monkeys because of AM, and like because that came out when I was in grade
2013.
11 or 12. And so, like, I was kind of just, like, snobbier than I should have been with music. Because, like, I come from a small town, so I was just, like, the music guy for whatever reason. So I remember, like, girls would be like, yeah, like, I like that, like, new album. I'm like, oh, really? Like, what else do you like? And they'd be like, oh, and the first one. And I'd be like, really?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I just always thought that was weird because I couldn't imagine, like, if you're into AM as, like, a passive listener to also, like, really dig the first album as well.
Yeah.
I just thought that was just, like, a theme that I, like, found with people being Arctic Monkeys fans.
They have like they unlocked like the way to do it. Like they have that indie cred.
Yeah.
They have the critics love them.
Totally.
And then they're just like, hey, want to see something cool? We're gonna go just destroy the American market and be like one of the biggest pop acts of the year. And they did that. It's just
Then
like
they followed up 5 years later with, oh, we're gonna sound like David Bowie.
and then they're like, oh, guess what? Fuck that.
No guitar.
Yeah. Like just.
Yeah, it would have been
confidence.
like any kind of consultant would have been like, don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
You
that
know
would be
what
the
works.
last thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, are they still on that indie label too? The one that they've been on
Domino's?
forever?
Yeah.
Domino
I don't
Records.
know.
Because
They
they were like that. I mean, that's obviously a big deal too. If you're on a major label, I imagine they'd be like, "Don't do that."
No, they've been on Domino Records with Franz Ferdinand for like fucking 15 years.
They would have no need at this point to sign with the major.
No.
That'd be stupid.
Headlining fucking Glastonbury twice.
Yeah, there'd be no need to
laughing.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, cool, guys. We should probably shut it down just in interest of people listening. I try to keep it under an hour. No, I also don't want to like stifle the conversation or anything. But I think we hit everything.
I think we did.
Cool.
We promoted everything. Sweet. Well, thanks. Go check out Plants. Thanks for doing this.
This is a blast.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us, Caleb.
Sweet.
Yeah, thanks, man.